Hello and welcome to the Old Man Orange podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunigan. And I'm tired as fuck. I don't know about you, but
Well, I thought I was gonna be tired today because we went to RJ from Primero Dev's concert yesterday, and they had their EP release, and RJ's like, "Oh, we'll play at 9:30." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I'll get there about 9ish or so. And they probably didn't play till like 11.
that was still a pretty good show.
No, yeah, but that's nothing against the show. It's more just the fact that by the time you finally get home, it's midnight, and then you got shit to do, and then you don't go to bed till 1, then you gotta wake up early, and then...
I got no real reason to be tired because I got up fairly late. It's just one of those days, just no caffeine's working for me.
I have to wake up at the butt crack of dawn.
Yeah. I have no reason to complain. You actually got to get up this early and open a gym. I'm just like, yeah, I'm just tired. I don't know why. Just am.
Yeah, just... But we saw a bunch of sweet movies in the last... There's been the load of movies in 1 week. Not as much as previous times, but still a lot.
Well, we saw the one... You think this would be the one we have probably talked the most about, but it's actually the one I was probably looking forward to the most. But actually, it wasn't bad. But it was a little bit of a letdown.
Was it Justice League?
Justice League War, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, it was one of the ones like mostly when it comes to those movies though, that I don't always expect as much from the Justice League stuff. You know,
with the exception of Flashpoint.
Well, I don't call that Justice League though. It's
just Justice League. This is to sell it.
Yeah, they use Justice League to sell it, so it's not really the same thing. But mostly, I like Justice League stuff, but I'm more of I kind of like the single stories more than anything else because mostly with Justice League always means we all get together. There's gonna be some big war, and there's just a lot of action and fighting in between, and not as much story.
Yeah, that's most the case most time with Justice League, and the book it's based off of, it's not really a favorite story of mine anyway. I like it. I have that volume. I have volume 1, Origins, but it was kind of it kind of ran together after a while because it was just a lot of superheroes just punching each other in the balls for a while, and it's like, oh, I guess we're gonna fight Doomsday's bad guys, and
Or not Doomsday, Darkseid.
That'd be Darkseid. Yeah, I don't know why.
They both start with a D.
Yeah. Both dark and evil.
Yeah, both kind of look about the same, big and bulky.
Both kind of big douchebags.
Yeah.
Just want to fuck with other people's shit.
Yeah, they have no rhyme or reason. Yeah. I've never seen something where they explain why Darkseid just kind of like a douche. He just seems like he was born a douche. He lives a douche. He still is a douche.
Narrated by JFK.
JFK here to read you the new Darkseid comic.
Back from the dead, this, of all things.
I remember the weirdest part, too, is because I was watching the Superman the Animated Series again, and right at the same time I was watching Justice League War, I was watching, the one where it's called Apocalypse Now, and it's literally the same exact story as that Justice League War, except for it's just Superman.
Is that the one where Perry White dies at the end?
No, pretty much the Commissioner Gordon, I can't remember what that guy's name is, of Superman dies.
Oh, I thought it was Perry White that died.
No.
Was it Lois Lane's father, or?
Oh
no, Dr. Emil Dr.
No.
Somebody died.
It's the guy. He's pretty much the Commissioner Gordon of the show. He's the main police officer of Metropolis.
Oh, okay.
That's the guy that died. Where Darkseid's well, fuck you guys. Okay, he's dead. Deal with it, Superman. I'll see you later. Flips him off. Fuckhead. And then Superman, and then everybody's just watching their Superman beats this tank to death. They're just like, oh fuck, don't piss him off.
Maybe that's why they took it off the kids WB.
Well, it's in the last season. Well, I was like, wow, I'm like that's pretty intense for a kids show.
Well, they always were kind of. It seems kind of like Warner Brothers Animation. Most of the time, they were really pushing the envelope. They were just on some really kind of bitch channels for a while.
Well,
channels that were afraid to kind of let them.
Warner Bros. Kept getting kicked off of. I don't know if they got kicked off or they just switched. When they're a kid, it's kind of well, go tell your parents to go buy the new channel so you can keep watching WB Kids.
Well, there's that.
And you're but I got satellite. Well, fuck you then. Guess what? You'll never see that last season of Batman.
It's
you like Pokemon? You just got into that. Well, guess what? You don't get to see it anymore.
It's the dancing WB frogs singing that dancing.
Because that's what happened to me. A lot of those shows, it's sort of like the Superman show. I never got to really see that show. Mm-hmm. I never saw the last season of Batman. Batman Beyond, I only got to see the very beginning of it. Mm-hmm. Pokemon, I only got to see the very beginning of it. I caught all those shows up later once they came out on VHS and DVD.
Well, even when they had those shows on the networks, just the networks they were on, you hear, because when you go, I mean, I only know this because I listened to Fat Man on Batman and like read some interviews here and there. But the way Kids WB ran, there was so much of just kind of like, well, even though the show's really good and everyone really likes it,
and we're selling a lot of action figures to top it all off.
We wanted to sell it to younger people, so just young it up and like, oh well, it's good and all, but we're just gonna cancel it and work on other things.
It's just like they can come out with like X-Men babies kind of thing, like
yeah, and then like there's like you hear like on Fat Man on Batman, they're talking about how Young Justice generally got canceled unless it's on a hiatus.
No, because you know what happened there. I think everybody got confused because every Warner Brothers show was on like a month hiatus.
Every one of them was?
Arrow was. I think all the Cartoon Network ones were. Mm-hmm. Every single thing that was a Warner Brothers TV show was on a hiatus.
So is actually Young Justice coming back? Because that would...
I think so. I don't know because I haven't watched it off TV because the only show I've ever watched off TV in like the last while is Arrow. Right. Everything else is like I'll wait till it gets on the DVD.
I really hope Young Justice. I didn't see very much of season 2. I saw like 1 or 2 episodes of season 2. What I saw was good, but. I really hope that show comes back because I know somebody told me it ends with a huge cliffhanger of like Darkseid's the next villain. So
hopefully it's not like Wolverine and the X-Men thing because that was always kind of like it's an amazing show, but there's only 26 episodes, and the last one just kind of ends with like Apocalypse is like, oh, he's gonna be there, and then it's like, nope.
And Paul Dini,
like an Age of Apocalypse type story coming up.
And Paul Dini even said like, look, like the shows were like getting fairly good reviews and all that, and they were getting watched, but they just Cartoon Network or whatever wanted them to have like a younger audience. Like, well, you can't sell this to a teenager, so you can't sell an action figure to a teenager. You can't sell that to girls. So like,
make video games, make fucking like T-shirts and shit.
T-shirts or like iPhone cases.
Well,
or
I feel like it was like, you can't sell action figures to a kid nowadays. Like I thought we were past that age where like action figures were for kids only. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like. By the time they're a teenager, they're going to buy action figures and not open them anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean...
They're going to realize that they're going to look back on their whole childhood and go, I was a fucking idiot. Why did I open that? It's worth so much money now.
I have like a huge box of Star Wars figures in the attic somewhere that's just like, oh.
Star Wars figures were never... like those are the ones... I don't remember. There's probably something that's worth a lot of money. And obviously the real old ones. But I always remember like they were never worth as much as some of the other things.
Yeah. Well, leave them alone for a while. Leave them in their boxes. They probably.
Oh yeah.
I remember like being. I mean, granted, maybe this was there was like this really. It was kind of like. It's kind of like a deal with the devil. Back in San Jose, there was this really cool hobby store called I think.
Hobby Shop.
I think just Hobby World or something, and they advertised. And it was Hobby Lobby. I would have remembered that. No, and it had like a race. It had like a little like kind of like racetrack to bring your RC cars. It's kind of like a hobby for everything.
Cool. Oh well, that's
collectible toys. When you're a kid, you just see toys. You know, they have an anime room. They had like the standard action figure room with a bunch of Star Wars stuff.
That's badass.
And comics and all. It was just like one of these things. Like it's so awesome. But you go in there, they very much were those kind of like they snoot down. They look like kind of snooty. They kind of look down like.
Look at that kid. He's gonna open his action figures. And what a loser.
And I went in there and looked. I was like, and it was our generation of Star Wars stuff, but it was like the very first line, which by that point it had to be probably. Maybe 5-6 years old, but it was our line,
Was it kind of like the ones that were all tied around like the re-releases and stuff, or the ones even earlier than that?
It could have been around the re-releases, but R2-D2 was like $25. Like nearly most of the figures on that wall were $25. Like, are you kidding me?
That's more expensive than when you used to buy the action figures at Disneyland.
Yeah, but it wasn't like the big doll ones. It was like your little G.I. Joe ones they sold that were brought out around the
the ones that were like, because they're the Star Wars action figures. I think they were like 3 inches taller.
They're not that big at all. Yeah, and it was like $25. So like, are you fucking kidding me?
I remember because like those Star Wars action figures, they were always $3 at the time.
Yeah.
And then I remember it was expensive because I want to say at like Disney, like the one thing that was cool at like Disneyland or the Star Tours. Mm-hmm. You could buy literally any of those action figures you could possibly think of. They had them there for sale, but I want to say they're $10 a piece because I remember them being about twice as much, if not more. But unlike going to like your local Kmart or something where like they might not have the Luke Skywalker you want, this place did.
This was like the 4th or the 5th grade. No, this had to be like 4th because I stopped collecting Star Wars stuff around the 5th grade. But this had to be like 3rd or 4th grade, and I remember going in there and just being like. It was kind of like, it just sucks. It was like all the figures you wanted, but they were so expensive. I'm not sure if like maybe there's some rare special edition I wasn't aware of, or if it was like it's the 90s. The fuck you gonna do about it?
Yeah,
we can do this. We got the money.
Well, the 90s was the period of where everybody thought they realized that toys and comics and all this stuff were worth money, the really old ones.
Mm-hmm.
So people bought the shit out of all the stuff in the 90s, and that stuff wasn't worth nearly as much.
Well, they even had like some kind of thing like Beanie Babies. There's like magazines estimating Beanie Babies will be worth this much come this time. So people are investing all this money into Beanie Babies just to find out they're not worth jack shit today.
Well, yeah. Well, you got to give it 50 years though.
Yeah, I know.
But it's like those ones like that's.
But there's magazines and books and all that estimating that this time right now they would be worth a lot.
Unless you're buying Todd McFarlane action figures, don't expect like an instant like price profit off of it because you know everything. You give it 50 years, you'll find them all in like a shop in like Las Vegas. By the time that everybody's either got them destroyed or thrown out or the dog ate them and stuff like that, there's only very few of them left.
Mm-hmm. And I remember like I was just it was one of those things that was just like just killed me, you know, going there like so excited to see everything.
It's almost like it's like a museum store where you can't buy anything.
Yeah.
Not like you go to regular museums and buy shit.
I remember because
just that kind of thing. It's like you get a look, but you don't get to take anything home.
Mm-hmm. There's like one. There's one that was like called Players, like not Players Choice. It was Collector's Choice, and what it was is it was like originally it was like this little card shop,
like baseball cards and stuff.
Baseball cards, but as soon as Pokemon came in and they sold a few Pokemon cards, like oh wow, this Pokemon stuff really sells. Like we should actually bring in like a few like imported toys and charge kids the fuck out of them. And then once they did a few of those, they got so many, so they would just like charge kids like. You know,
astronomical prices.
Astronomical price. And the middle school was right down the street, too.
It was like perfect. They had a fucking neon sign that directed up towards there.
Yeah. So it was really...
There was a Pikachu, like, spotlight at nighttime.
So you know.
Like kids forgot what the bat signal was, but they knew
the Pikachu symbol. And, like, he had, like, dollar signs blinking in his cheeks. No. So, you could go in there, and it was just, and it was even like it would be like an inch high figure, they charge you for $2 for that.
Yeah,
it was just ridiculous. Just
nowadays, you say that now, it's like nowadays $2, well that's probably about right because it's hard to get something for like $1.
Yeah,
but there you're like, what the fuck? That's like $5.
Exactly. So, but they were like tiny.
That's my minimum wage was like $4.
No, maybe even less than that. I guess they're roughly. Just a little bit. Remember like the Mighty Max toys, like with the playset. They're roughly just a little bit bigger than that. They charge you like, yeah, because they're imports. You know, Japanese writing on the bottom of them.
Well, that's kind of too. It's like people like the more Japanese writing it was on things at that time, like sold way better.
Exactly. So, and they would just sell the shit out of it to kids and. That place was rolling in the bank, but as soon as I don't know if they just cut their losses and ran.
But we just made a killing. We have $4 million in our bank account right now.
I'm not sure if they just like cut their losses and ran, but as soon as Pokemon went away, because it was really big for like 2 years, but they just, I mean, it's still here, it still makes money.
With anything, there's always that like the main, like the fad time, and then there's the kind of like where it's still really popular, but it's not like that humongous like cultural phenomenon thing. Yeah,
I mean, it really wouldn't surprise me if you showed like, if this place had a biopic, it really wouldn't be too out of character if they had like a success montage with like "Gimme Shelter" by the Rolling Stones playing over it as they're doing mountains of coke in the background selling like
Japanese import Pokemon toys.
Yeah. So.
Well, I remember in the late 90s, there were so many sweet stores. This is the only thing about nowadays that always just kind of sucks. It's like, perfect example, this will all lead back into the Justice League. But, there was all kinds of comic book shops and card shops and, even video game stores and everything, all this like mom and pop stuff. And each one had different shit, which was the best part. And nowadays, shopping's not fun anymore. It's just like, there's nothing fun about going out shopping. It's like, now it's like one of those ones, it's like, oh, I want to go get the new Justice League. Well, I gotta go to fucking Walmart, because it's the only place that sells DVDs anymore and Blu-rays. And you gotta kind of put up with, but there's nothing fun about going to Walmart. It's kind of like, it's just like the devil is sucking your soul out as you're in there the whole time.
Every single time I go there, there's something that reminds me, like, why the fuck are you here? And this ties into my Justice League story. When I went to actually pick up Justice League War, when I was leaving Walmart, and like, Walmart's the only place in town, it brings everybody, so whatever. But, so I'm not going to judge someone for shopping at Walmart, but I had the very stereotypical kind of like, you don't want to be this Walmart shopper. And it was, as I was pulling out, because the way it works is like most parking lots, it's kind of like one-way lanes. And as I'm pulling out of the lane I was parked in and pulling in the next to drive out the exit, there's a lady crossing the street and taking her sweet fucking time. And it's like one of those things, like if you're briskly walking and trying and noticing, you don't gotta run, but if you at least
you make an attempt to like show courtesy.
This lady was just literally taking her sweet time. And if there was a word to describe her, it would be frumpy. Frumpy as fuck. And she I
thought like you're saying something about reminds you not to be there. I'm like, did you go in there once and there's just this like really like disgusting fat guy like grabbing the Justice League and he just turns around to you and goes, "You'll become me one day." Don't deny it. Don't fucking deny it. Where are you gonna go?
A big cloud of just like taint mist surrounds. I'm like, it just goes away.
It just disappears. Like, was that real? Did you just escape from the flying Nimbus?
The Nimbus of like fucking taint fog. But in sweatpants,
sweatpants that are like sagging and not the way you want them to be. Yeah. Just like, oh god, please pull that up. Yeah. I don't want to say anything either. You might think I wanted to talk to him.
There's like fucking jizz stains, like stain on the fucking front of it. Like, don't wear those in public, please don't.
That's all I have anymore.
Anyway, back to this bitch. So this lady is walking across the street, taking her sweet fucking time, and as I said, frumpy. That's the best way I can use to describe her. Wearing like a windbreaker and then like PJ bottoms, flip flops. Staring at her like iPhone case.
Did this lady have like a shirt that was way too short for her, so her stomach was hanging out?
No.
Okay, well, I saw that there the day I went to go buy mine, and it was very frightening.
Was she like an older lady or a younger lady?
Older lady. Older. Like old. Like she might have been a hobo for all I know, because she's wearing a backpack. Mm-hmm. I mean, I wear a backpack, but people a lot of times think that you wear a backpack. Oh, you must not have.
You're the exception to the rule.
No, but it was just stomach was hanging out. It was real nasty and stuff. And then I went over to GameStop, and guess what? She's fucking there again, walking. I was just like, God damn it.
Well, this lady, and the thing that's topping it off is, aside from all that, she had a bag, and not just one thing. I saw multiple things peeking out. Just a bunch of Duck Dynasty shit. Like a Duck Dynasty pillow hanging out, a Duck Dynasty like blanket, just all this shit, and just like, oh my fucking god.
If there's gonna be something that states that the apocalypse is very soon, I think the Duck Dynasty is the start of it all.
No, I just think Duck Dynasty is the new one. They
I don't know, but like it was ones like that.
We had Jersey Shore. It was Jersey Shore.
I guess that was, but the thing about Jersey Shore though is I don't remember. Jersey Shore's one that like people had to tell me about, where Duck Dynasty just feels like it's everywhere I fucking go. Like you didn't go to like Walmart and there was like a Jersey Shore like guy standing there with his arms crossed like, buy these glasses here at Walmart, or like throw blankets and stuffed animals, or like get your fucking like controller skins that you can put over it that say Jersey. I don't remember that much Jersey Shore stuff. It was a TV show and it kind of stayed a TV show.
I was on my Comixology app the other day and
is there a Jersey Shore comic?
I just passed one. It said The Situation. I'm like, what is that? And I click. It's a picture of the Situation guy looking fucking just all like dim-witted. Just, are you fucking kidding me?
Who's the Situation guy?
That's his nickname. He's a guy who calls himself in the Jersey Shore. He calls himself.
I don't know these things. These are all like good. The only reason I know about the Jersey Shore is there was a Rolling Stones magazine once that I read that was like, who the fuck are all these douchebags?
Yeah, and he's one of the douchebags, and. The thing of like I mainly learned about it from South Park, and there's a guy James who's actually been on the podcast before. Mm-hmm. He said he watched a few episodes. He's like, I fucking hate. He's an Italian. He hates that show. He like has a burning hatred for that show. But anyway, I think I'll not defend that show, but I think the thing with that was I'm not defending either of them, but I just think it's marketing. I think that you could probably market Duck Dynasty to like a mountain town like this and to Walmart because they're just a bunch of good old Christian boys go out shooting animals and they got a problem with gay people. Where like the Jersey Shore, it's very much kind of like, hey bro, we only live once. Come on man, let's go out and get laid. I think that's the big thing.
It's almost like the exact opposite. They're both as stupid as fuck, but they're almost like
they're both in the limelight.
They're so different yet so similar all at the same time.
It's kind of like it is kind of like the two. It's like the opposite ends of the yin yang of stupidity. The yin yang is stupidity.
Yeah, or it's kind of like when they try to explain to you in school like Nazis and Soviets, and then they go, well, communism and fascists, if they come almost back around in this loop and become very similar again.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But the worst part about the Duck Dynasty, though, at first I was like, well, maybe it is just this area. Maybe they're heavily marketing in smaller towns. Then we went to Modesto, and even in Sacramento I saw it, and it was just like, it's just everywhere. It's everywhere.
It's going to have its moment. It's going to disappear. Like anything else. Something else equally stupid will come in.
Yeah, I mean, there's always just something stupid. But to me, that thing just feels much bigger than other stupid shit. Because other stupid shit, I only saw it if somebody either, one, told me about it, two, somehow, some way it was on in like a magazine and I was stuck in like a waiting room or something. Something, one of those situations. Because I would not catch it on TV. I never would because I'm very selective. Mm-hmm. Where Duck Dynasty, it's just in my face no matter where I go.
I think it's also one of those things, it's probably one of the few, I mean, I refuse to watch the fucking show, but I think it's one of the few things you can call a family reality show that has just as much...
Well, I guess because I'm assuming...
It's not because Osbourne's...
They're not swearing like constantly or anything like that.
Yeah, because Osbourne's, you would have... Osbourne's, that was like one of the big ones back when we were in high school. That was one of the ones where... It was like they'd be swearing every 5 seconds. So yeah, you could probably see stuff for it like at FYE or at Tower Records or something.
But you couldn't put it at Walmart.
You could even probably sell some of it at Walmart, but they probably couldn't push it in your face as much. They probably couldn't sell like as much of it in the kids section or like in children's apparel.
You couldn't have like Ozzy Osbourne, like, the kids section, like, hey, fuck you!
Yeah, like a cardboard standout that like has motion sensors. So every time you walk by, it's like, hey, Sharon!
Sharon, the fucking kids in the house again!
There's a Sharon one like on the other side of like the girls.
Shut the fuck up!
Every time you walk by, so you have like these two like looking
like, that kid is your kid! We have a kid, Sharon!
But even though like Duck Dynasty, I guess you
can... Duck Dynasty rhymes with fuck Dynasty.
That's something.
But that's what
I wonder if that was like a tagline they tried. Duck Dynasty rides with fuck Dynasty.
It's like okay, for these guys, you say they're really Christian. It's like that Duck Dynasty almost sounds like just. I mean, I know what else they're gonna say. It's like, well, that's all we are. We're just the duck fucks. I mean, people. Sorry, Dad.
Well, the thing with that show is like,
you have to stop pulling your belt out. Dad, I didn't mean to fucking swear.
Look, Billy. We can go out and mow down an entire family of deer with our M16s on our quads, then drag them back through the woods and skin them for dinner, and just throw out the rest of them. No problem. But God forbid you say a bad word.
He's like, look at the wall, son. Respect thy father. Just shows a picture of God with his belt out, like of Jesus, like, no, Father, no.
Jesus bent over his knee.
Respect.
Or he's about to spank him with like a stone tablet of one of the commandments or something. I don't have that in church.
But at least, back to Justice League. Like, the whole reason why we have to go to Walmart and put up with all this crap is because we don't have sweet mom and pop stores anymore. And the only other place to shop is online, but sometimes you just go, fuck it, I don't want to wait a week and a half. Yeah. Because I'm too cheap to pay for the fast shipping. And I want that free shipping. Mm-hmm. Where the fuck did Sonic go?
I was just fiddling. It's under your chair. I was just fiddling with the Sonic the Hedgehog coaster, and it rolled around right behind Spencer's chair.
But best 98 cents I ever spent.
Yeah. But, anyway. Yeah, I thought, I mean, it sounds like I didn't like it. I do like it. I'm glad I bought it. But it's not one of the strongest of the DC Universe movies, because this one is just a lot of the cool action. And even as cool as the action is, and as well as it's animated, I think some action just has a little bit more of wear and tear when it's animated. When it's in live action, I'm a little bit more interested, because like, oh, I didn't know you could make it look that cool in live action. But like Man of Steel, like I had no problem with how long it was.
That's fine because it's something you've never seen before. But in animation, I've seen a lot of action in my life in animation.
So so that's why I kind of like more of the. I mean, look, cool action animation. That's awesome. Yeah, that's why I like more story in my animation.
Yeah, because this one, I mean, it really isn't much of a story. It's more just like, Batman's chasing down the
Darkseid's bitches.
Yeah, Darkseid's bitches, the something demons or whatever, the parademons or whatever, and then then they realize, oh fuck, these guys are here, and they got this Motherbox thing or whatever, and then next thing you know, everybody's in fucking town going like, well, what the fuck? There's tons of these shit guys here, And then next thing you know, you realize, oh, fucking Darkseid's coming. I mean, there is other stuff going on.
Yeah.
But it is kind of like, I mean, I guess the big part of this one, story-wise, it's the Cyborg story.
Yeah.
That's really like, it's sort of a, if you look at kind of the last handful of movies, even if they are a Justice League one, they sort of focus on one character a little bit more than others. Kind of like Flashpoint was the Flash story, though it was had all the Justice League in it. You know, this one's sort of, in a sense, it's sort of the Cyborg story, yet it's got everybody else in it.
Justice League Doom was Batman.
Yeah, well, almost everything's Batman.
Yeah.
This one, the one thing to me, though, it was a little too much, there was too much comedy in it, though. It felt like it was trying to pull like an Avengers on me kind of thing.
I'll be honest, I mean, I think there was a little too much comedy, but the comedy didn't really kill it for me. I think just the fact there was something other than explosions and punching going on, that almost kind of in some way sort of saved it. I mean, not
really?
always.
I'm going the exact opposite way, where I thought the comedy was what bothered me the most in it. And there was some funny shit in it, but it was just, it felt like it was almost trying to be, it was totally an action comedy. It wasn't, that's what it was.
I still felt like the seriousness outweighed the comedy, but I thought the thing with, I think there's a little too much comedy, not enough to kill it for me. But
especially with Green Lantern. I mean, like
Green Lantern's where it all comes from.
He was Tony Stark in this movie.
Yeah, that's where it all comes from. Really, is Green Lantern. Even he had a few funny lines.
But everybody was cracking jokes. Wonder Woman and Batman were cracking jokes. I mean, it was fucking weird.
Well, Batman, whenever he cracked a joke, would be more of just like very condescending and just kind of walk off and not really chuckling. And I think that works fine for Batman. Just be a condescending dick and just walk out of there with him having.
It works fine. But it all adds up to being like a lot of jokes, though. It's, you know what I mean?
The one that was so out of place, and this was actually in the comic, was when he says like, "Why? Like, why don't you like someone didn't have their True Blood tonight or whatever?" Like, you're making a reference to that True Blood show.
Is that what that was all about?
In that show,
well, there was a bunch. They
have like
that's the only thing I didn't like about it too, because it kind of had this Marvel thing, which was the only thing that always really bothers me in Marvel. I love Marvel, but I fucking can't stand all the pop culture references. And this one, I mean, not as many, but there is about at least 3 or 4 pop culture references in there.
Yeah, because there's someone that have their True Bloods. I mean, I've never seen the show, but apparently all the vampires drink synthetic blood called True Blood. Huh. So that's what that's supposed to be.
I didn't put that one together, but that'll make sense now. I thought that was a Dracula. This is where like you're an old man. I'm like, I thought that was a Dracula reference.
And then there's a part like something that was just totally like shoehorned in there is when Shazam says, "What's that? Your World of Warcraft name or something?"
Yeah, I heard that too. I was like, ooh, you sort of like that cringe. I mean, like, he's a 10-year-old boy, so he could at least Green Lantern didn't say that. That's all I have to fucking say. I'd rather have a 10-year-old boy say that line than have Superman or Green Lantern say that or something like. You're like, no.
I thought the humor that actually worked because I mean, it's more like I think it was kind of. I don't think it was intentional. It's meant to be funny, but just how much of a douche Superman was, that almost adds the humor to it.
Superman was like, he was doucherman in this one.
Yeah, he was totally doucherman.
Because, and the other thing is, I'm not the biggest, like, sometimes I like my Superman being kind of like the good guy. Like, I like the, like, what they call him the Big Blue Boy Scout.
Yeah.
Like, I like my Superman being like that. This one, he's fucking punching Batman through fucking walls before he even asks questions of who he is.
Exactly. And I mean...
And Batman's just like, it's more, he's like, whoa, fucking stop. It's like, Jesus fucking Christ. I'm fucking human here. Punch Green Lantern for Christ's sakes.
Next time we meet, I'm coming back with a kryptonite ring, bitch. I'm telling you right now.
Fuck, I clearly didn't do enough research on him.
But there was... I mean, I do like the
so much fucking time researching the Flash. Why the fuck did I do that?
I did... Flash was a good guy.
He didn't do anything to me. He didn't punch first, ask questions later.
Yeah. But I actually do like the part when... Because I think that's not in the comic. The part when, like, Superman's charging in, and he says, "You're not going to hit me, Clark." And he just stops right there.
Oh, yeah, I
like that.
I like that. Well, that's not, like, I guess, like, the funny stuff.
That's not the funny, but that's a moment I liked.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
And they kind of had, I mean, I thought it was just, I mean, it didn't, I mean, Grant Morrison made Superman a little bit more of a dick, but he still feels like Superman in Action Comics to me. Yeah. And I guess there was Jeff Johns trying to emulate that, but whatever. I mean, it was still an enjoyable book, and the movie's enjoyable.
Well, it's one of those ones, because, like, we were watching special features, and then, like, Olivia kind of says, like, oh, they're all supposed to be, like, teenagers. And it's like, what?
Did he say they're all supposed to be teenagers?
Well, he said that in there, and I didn't. It was
young adults.
It went quick.
I mean, young adults.
Well, that's how I picture
20s, early 20s.
I picture them all being kind of like 25, 30.
Yeah.
You know? But I think what he meant is like that. And once he said that teenagers line, I was like, oh, well, that makes sense why a lot of them are saying stupid shit.
Yeah, I don't think they're supposed to be teenagers.
But that's kind of weird to me. To like, it's like
they're not teenagers. I mean,
well, I always feel like Superman kind of like, you know, it's.
I think like
Superman and Batman are those kind of characters. It's like, you know, they really become those characters once they're older.
Yeah. I don't think they're teenagers. I think they probably are like late 20s,
Yeah.
mid to late 20s probably.
You know, the youngest character is probably Vic, other than Shazam. Other than 10-year-old Shazam.
I don't even think they need.
12-year-old Shazam. Probably.
I guess they got plans to bring in Aquaman and applying the teaser at the end, but the whole thing with like Shazam, I don't even think they needed Shazam because you already have like a hot-headed like comic relief character. You already got Green Lantern, and then you already got Flash, who's not really.
He has the awkward like comedy.
He's more. That's fine. I think that's totally fine.
I always feel Flash can be the funny one. He's the one character that can be the funny one.
Mm-hmm.
I know Green Lantern says funny stuff every once in a while, but it was that Tony Stark thing where like everything's a joke. I don't like that very much.
No, I get you.
And it's
I
not
think
one
it
of those ones
wasn't,
like Tony Stark can even say funny shit too, but when it's so much of it, it's just like it's hard to believe. It's like I just have a hard. Well, if Green Lantern, I have a hard time believing that the Ring chose you. That's all I have to say. Yeah, I think it would have went to Jon Stewart at the beginning.
I want to.
It would have just bypassed you, went straight to Jon Stewart.
Just goes on his finger, just stops. No, man, just goes around. Goes finds him in architect school.
Yeah.
No, but there is
I like how in the special features I really want to say this. I like how they're trying to go like, Cyborg, he's the relatable character to everyone. Everybody can relate to Cyborg. And I leaned over to you and I'm like, yes, because we're all star quarterbacks of like the college football team.
I did think it was pretty funny though when he goes to talk to his dad, like, Dad, you're never coming to one of my football teams. Like, Victor, there are things that they're superheroes. We got people that can run fast.
There's a guy with a fucking ring out there. What you do is fucking stupid. Nobody's gonna give a flying fuck about it in 10 years. Well, Dad, you gonna come to my game?
No. Like, I almost kind of expect like the Seinfeld, bum. Like that noise as it transitions to something else.
That guy was like the unloving father. Then I love where it's like, well, fuck you, Dad. I'm gonna take your battery box out of here.
All right. Okay, him yelling and like saying like, Dad,
you won't love me, Dad. This thing will.
I'm gonna fuck your battery box.
I came here for love from some type of father figure. I don't care where I get it from.
I'm taking you, battery box, Dad.
Come on, dude. He takes the Motherbox, puts it like in the seat that says reserved for Dad.
And like Shazam takes it. He stole my dad.
He keeps stealing everything. What's wrong with that kid? Shazam!
But when Darkseid comes, kills his battery box dad.
Oh, Dad! He makes all the Justice League come to this funeral for him. They're like, he's bearing a fucking electronic box.
Just fucking give it to him. He turned into a robot. He's had a really rough fucking year, and the kid stole it. Just like the kid, it was a fucking box. Just fucking Vic needs it. Just shut the fuck up.
And Bruce is all like, well, my parents are, yeah, this is worse than your parents' died. This is one of those ones like, his parent, it's like his dad's dead, but he's still alive, and Vic really wishes he was dead. And he has to live with it.
I'm just saying, my parents, Bruce, we fucking know.
Yes,
we know.
Bruce, that's what you got.
Yeah. But, that whole part right there was like him yelling, "No, Dad, we gotta talk now." When the thing's bleeping about to explode, like, okay, I'll just expand my disbelief for a second. I'll expand it for a second. I'll believe that. But the fact that he grabs the thing, he's shaking it around when it's bleeping, it's just like that was just the whole other level. Like, what?
Yeah, that was a little. I guess it was one's like, hey, you gotta become Cyborg somehow.
Well, in the comic, he didn't even shake it around. He was standing there, and the thing exploded.
Comes on him.
Yeah,
he doesn't fucking take it like this will be my surrogate father.
He doesn't go for battery box dad. No, the thing explodes right in his face as he's standing there. He doesn't have to grab it. So that was one of the things. Like, whatever. But
it's one of those ones. It's kind of like it's like a weird relationship too. It's like he loves his son the second his son just like almost dies in front of him.
It was few. Well, his I realize it now. I didn't realize it before that. I realize it now. He loves the son after that because that's all that's left of the dad's battery box. So he's got to like, well, I'll appreciate it and like through my son,
And also, he's a dad who has very, very high standards. It's like, son, I'm finally proud of you now because you're part of the Justice League. Mm-hmm. At least you manned up to something.
Well, it's kind of a
quarterback.
It's kind of like
quarterback. Like, whose father would want their son to be a quarterback?
It's kind of like the opposite, really, when you think of the standard thing. Because you're like, I really want to be a scientist when I grow up. Why don't you just be a man and join the football team? Come on, baby. It's kind of like that.
But
this
the opposite way is like, my son's in football, not a scientist. What a fucking loser he is.
Fucking pussy. He should be in fucking...
Just at home all day long watching his ESPN.
Real men study beakers and play with
Did you know I caught him the other day throwing a football back and forth on the front lawn? In my front lawn! If you're gonna do that, you do that inside! I don't want the neighbors seeing that!
You can cut your knee and hurt yourself and that get affected. Science is some shit you don't want to fuck around with. So, but... Yeah, I mean, it's a good movie, but it's not really, like, the best of their movies, I'd say.
No,
I'm looking forward to the next one,
the son of Batman looks fucking awesome.
Yeah. It looks like they're taking different Damien stories.
And that's what I think is really cool, because when I first read it, I'm like, oh, well, that's cool. I'm like, hopefully... And then I watched that, like, little, like, preview for it. It's like, oh, good, they're taking from a lot of Damien, because you don't want to take just the beginning Damien stuff, because that stuff's, like, where you just hate Damien. Mm-hmm. And, but later on, though, it's like, I even accepted Damien. I never thought I would accept Damien. I looked at him as, like, the bastardized child, even though he's the actual child.
You accept the Lord Savior Damien into your life?
Yeah. Then you go, okay, well, Damien, whatever. After a while, he's fine. As long as he's not bitching around to Tim Drake. Even though, it's kind of weird, like, it looks like what they're
Nightwing instead of Tim Drake.
Yeah, they're going to do Nightwing, which is like, if you read the comics, it's like, him and Nightwing had a fine relationship. Mm-hmm. It's him and Tim that didn't get along, I think, because they're, like, sort of similar age range. I mean, obviously, Tim's, like, 5 or 6 or 8 or 9 or something years older than him, but...
Well, I think, Dick, they even, like, they weren't even best buds, but they worked all right together. It was like, they were kind of, like, teeter-tottering with each other. It's like, they weren't ever going to, like, throw a punch at one another, but they were.
Well, then they start working together, because, because Dick becomes Batman, and then...
He does, yeah.
And then Dick's the first person to say, like, yo, you could be Robin. Mm-hmm. Where Batman was like, not yet.
Well, even like Dick still, even to Dick, he still was a dick to. Not trying to pun there, but he was still kind of an asshole to Dick every so often when he was.
Well, yeah, I mean he was Damien. I mean
he was Damien. There's no way around it entirely, but he definitely got along with him a lot better.
It wasn't like
than
Tim,
he did.
where he's just like gonna go like beat the shit out of him like every single time he sees him.
Yeah. But
that one looks really cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one.
I mean, it's one of those ones I know it's always more Batman, but there's no way I can't be excited about Batman.
Exactly. And the other thing about that one is every so often when it comes to the DC Universe movies, there'll be ones where it's kind of like keep it this. There's some things I understand you got to change for the sake of like making it like more compact and time wise. Like Dark Knight Returns, that's pretty much everything you need for the most part.
Yeah,
there's some things they change around, but most of it's fine.
Most of it's like it's more just extra stuff that's nice but not necessary whatsoever.
And there's some stuff, bring it back to Batman, like Under the Red Hood. Like they change a little bit, but they take all the big stuff you kind of need from the story and put it in one. I mean, so you get those kind of two.
And then you get the year one where it's almost like the exact story, excluding like the cocaine scene. That's about the only thing I really like stands out to me.
Yeah, he like punches his face. He's counting money instead of snorting cocaine in that one scene. That's the only thing that's different. But
it's also like, I guess there's one thing you say in The Dark Knight Returns. I remember at first I was just like, why is Commissioner Gordon not smoking? It's like, oh, he's taking nicotine instead. Or nicotine gum.
I kind of think of like, as far as the DC animated movies, I think of Year One and Dark Knight Returns in kind of the same vein. Because they're very, very close. There's just a handful of things that are kind of different. Mm-hmm. But then you get the ones where it's just like, we just took the core concepts and decided to come out with a different movie. And I think that's kind of...
I think that's what the Superman Unbound sort of is.
I'm guessing that's what that
I've never read the comic book, but I think from watching the special features, I think that's what they said.
And that's kind of like that's what Dark Knight... That's what Batman Under the Red Hood is. That's kind of what Superman, Batman, Public Enemies is. Mm-hmm. They just took a handful of scenes and just kind of worked around that. So, in the basic
I think that's actually kind of... Like, sort of the Son of the Batman one. It sounds like...
That's going to be...
That it's kind of cool just to do that though, because it's like one of those ones you get to take elements from a lot of things and just try to say like, okay, we'll just take this one story and make it.
And that's what Green Lantern First Flight seems to be.
Yeah,
it seems to be one of those ones where you just take all these
elements.
elements.
Like Wonder Woman 1 too. It's
where it's its own story. It's just a handful of things. I mean,
you could really look at the Wonder Woman. You could look at the first Wonder Woman origin story, and it's pretty similar to that too. Mm-hmm. But you can kind of add and subtract.
I'd like to do like an Aquaman or a Flash one or something.
I really think they should do an Aquaman one though. I think it's getting time. It's like Aquaman needs his fucking like just Aquaman only movie. Like don't need anything else.
Give it a chance,
Yeah,
they're probably waiting until after the Justice League movie comes out.
Well, I think there's still that slight fear. I think of Aquaman, it's like we can't just make Aquaman. Like, what if it just doesn't sell? I think they're just afraid that it's gonna tank.
Well, I just got
Aquaman's gonna tank.
a good friend of mine just got a good friend of mine just got me for my birthday, got me Aquaman Volume 1. Totally surprised me.
That's what I've been wanting to get for so long, and every single time it's like, I'll get it next time.
In the first chapter, the whole book's kind of almost implying kind of like people's misconception for Aquaman. He's just kind of like rolling his eyes at how stupid people are about him.
That's cool.
And it's kind of, well, he goes to like a restaurant. He's in an outfit. It's kind of funny, but he goes to a restaurant. He's by the sea, and just sitting there, open the menu. People are looking at him like, "Oh, can I help you?" Like, "Yeah, I'm just ordering some lunch." Like, "What would you have?" Like, "The fish and chips." Just shows a shot of everybody in there looking at him. It's just, "You can't eat fish." He's like, "Why not?" "You talk to fish." Like, "No, I don't talk to fish. I push them with my mind and use them to help me." He said, "They have too small brains to have like, a conversation with. Dolphins and whales, yeah." And then these are like someone comes by, he's like, I have a blog. Can I interview you? What's it like? You know, just asking all these really annoying questions, and then he eventually just gets up and like just walks out.
That's cool.
So
That's
it's
the
like,
intro.
It's at first he stops like a bank heist or something, and he gets there and there's like a truck just heading for him. Like, "Oh, it's Aquaman. Oh, who cares? Just head for him." You know, then. I guess you see they acknowledge he has some other powers we didn't know about before. Or the average person didn't know about him. He like harpoons the front of the truck, flips it over him, it crashes, and then I think he got shot a few times. It just bled a little bit, and then like he got shot in the head, just bled a little bit.
Because Aquaman still has like that super strength and all that stuff too.
Yeah. And the cop's like, "What are you doing here?" It's just I'm just kind of surprised you're here. I'm like, "Well, it's the harbor is not that far away. It's just right down there. I heard the sirens. I figured I'd come help out." Like. I thought you only saved like tuna and shit like that. Just like he just gets pissed off. That's when it leads right into like the whole diner scene.
Thing, huh?
Yeah.
Well, it's one of the ones like I always feel like you're not really almost a true DC fan if you don't understand Aquaman. If you kind of go like, "What's Aquaman?" It's like you clearly don't get it.
Well, it's one of those things like I understand. I mean, I'm gonna read the book, and so far I'm enjoying it. I don't know if it's one of the ones I'm gonna frequently read just for money's sake. Not that I know it's bad. But
you kind of realize in comic book wise. I say there's almost like give or take on how much your income is. It's like you get a maximum of about 5 series you can kind of follow.
Yeah.
You know, and every once in a while you'll pick up random ones.
And sometimes you have to stop one to pick up another one.
Yeah, that's almost how it is too. Yeah.
But
Batman always puts his bat fish in the way of everybody else's. But then after that, then
that's why I'm only kind of reading one Batman. I'm just reading Batman, and then the Red Hood and the Outlaws. I'm reading that one too, but. Marvel kind of comes and goes when I have a chance to.
Marvel's ones like I'm at the point where it's like, well, I'll just watch all the Marvel animated stuff. It's like reading a Marvel comic, but without spending a lot of money.
No, I do like Marvel. I do like reading Hulk. I do like reading Captain America and Spider-Man.
Well, it's just there's only so much money for so many things.
There's only so much money for so many things. It's easier to jump in on DC wherever because ever since the New 52, it's just whether you like the New 52 or not, it's just easier to jump in. Like what to do today, you know? So.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess maybe we should lead into. We also saw Monuments Men.
Oh yeah, we saw Monuments Men.
Mm-hmm. And that was a pretty good movie. It was actually kind of a different type of World War II film.
Well, yeah, okay. It's like that was like the whole. To me, the selling point of it is, we've seen all kinds of World War II movies before. They're either whether they're the dramas, whether they're filled with action, whatnot. This one's cool because the whole purpose of it's like, hey, we're gonna preserve art. And out of like hundreds of World War II movies, when did you ever see somebody do that?
Yeah, and it's more like, I mean...
Even in Medal of Honor, you never heard of them like, we gotta protect this art.
And it's not like, exactly the most, like, action-paced movie or anything, and it's a good movie. It kind of moves at its own pace, that's different from most World War II
films. It's not fast, it's not slow, but it's kind of a smooth...
And it kind of goes in a way that's kind of interesting that... It's more of just like a series of. I mean, eventually they all come together to make some big thing. It's not like there's the big score they're looking for, but in the meantime they find these little like hiding spots here and there, and those ones are kind of like they're just almost strung together by small scenes of just kind of like because they split up into different groups. I mean, just like okay, so we're gonna see a little bit of the Bill Murray group, we're gonna see a little bit of the John Goodman group, and then cut back to like Matt Damon who's just trying to like mac on this chick, be Matt Damon. Yeah. And then, like,
it's more the other way around. It's more she's trying to mac on him.
That's a good point. Well,
because Matt Damon's kind of just like, he's just like, I just want to save paintings. And she's like, I just want to be fucked.
Well, first when he comes in, when he first comes in, he's like, I want to help
Kate
you.
Blanchett, I think just the older she gets, she's like, the older I get, the more I look like Schmeagol.
I don't think she looks that bad.
No, I'm not saying she looks that bad, but she does. She is really starting to look more and more like Schmeagol.
But she
It's just like, Matt Damon, fuck me. Fuck
Give
me
me
on this
your-
painting.
give me your Damon youth.
Let me suck it up. Just Soul Reaper's in like, man's like, whoa, keep the fucking time.
That's how the movie ends. Like, whoa! Just like pulls her mouth down. Just credits. No, but like, well, at the very beginning, she's like, "Hey, I just want to help you." Like, how do I know you're not going to steal all our art? You know, like I'm not gonna. And once he earns her respect, then
I'm Matt Damon.
he's just trying to use his Matt Damon charm. Like, look, I'm a nice guy. I'm just trying to. He's almost kind of like marking his way through it at first. Like, hey, I'm a nice guy. Come on, I just want to. I just want to help you out, man. Come on, what's wrong with that? What's wrong? You know. And then once she realized she can trust him, once she realized she can trust him, that's when she's all like, you know, she's macking on Damon. So.
Yeah, then she's like, oh.
You got George Clooney, and all you gotta say when you watch this movie is like, fuck George Clooney. He's so like fucking charming. Even with a fucking old, even like with gray hair and an old ass mustache, that guy, it's like, you charming motherfucker. Fuck you.
Everybody wishes they were George Clooney. Even George Clooney wishes he was George Clooney.
A few days ago, I saw this on like, I saw him on Daily Show trying to like sell this movie. It's like, oh god damn it, dude, you were. Yeah, fuck, man.
Then you also get John Goodman, who's just awesome.
John Goodman, he's always one of my favorite actors. And I was so glad to see he was like Bill Murray, John Goodman, George Clooney, you know, all in
Matt
one
Damon.
movie. Matt Damon. Everybody else in the movie was really good.
Everybody else. I can't remember the guy's names on the top of my head, but like you've seen him in other things. But no, that one was just like I like his. And the thing too is kind of neat about it is it's a drama first and foremost, but it's got tidbits of action, and then it's also filled with comedy, and then some even kind of sad parts too.
And it was almost like a. I mean, I don't know how accurate it is to the actual event or anything, but it had kind of like this vibe of it being a like kind of a 60s World War II film, and not like one of the dark and heavy gritty ones, but something like I mean, even though it has sadder and heavier moments, Great Escape, yeah, because it had like the whole whistling music in it, you know. That's kind of even like, even though this is more of one of the darker ones, but kind of similar to like Dirty Dozen. I want to say that had the whistling. And
yeah, just kind of like it's sort of the patriotic, like good, you know, good spirits, we can win this war.
Yeah, that kind of thing. And you don't see very many like modern World War films doing that anymore. Everything's trying to emulate Saving Private Ryan.
Well, yeah, I say the one thing about nowadays though is now the look for war movies now is like it's very gritty. It's very realistic. It's very dark and sad, and nothing's good about war. And,
some
then,
of the
and
best
like that's true. But when it's a movie, you got to kind of make it. I like that kind of like.
Well, some of the best ones are
Kind of
that,
like Kelly's Heroes and stuff like that. Like it reminds me of that too.
Well, some of the best ones are like I think the dark and gritty ones, like Saving Private Ryan. Or
Well, yeah, Saving Private Ryan's just that's an amazing movie.
But you
there
get
is a
some that are
point
just
where, like,
trying too hard to be like so dark and so sad. You know, trying way too hard.
Sad.
Yeah.
Sad.
And I love Letters to Iwo Jima. I think
That's another, yeah.
that's a great one too. But I have not seen Flags of Our Fathers. I want to though.
I haven't seen that one either. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I've seen the one that people generally don't see as much. Everybody saw Flags of Our Fathers, but I saw Letters of Iwo Jima instead.
Why Letters to Iwo Jima? Because it was in the $2 bin. So
That's the same reason I bought. I bought the pawn shop.
so, yeah, it was a totally good movie. I liked it. And Matt Damon George Clooney directed it, right?
And George Clooney, like, I can't think of a movie he directed that like was not just amazing. There might be one out there.
Leatherheads.
Yes, never mind. Take it back. Take it back. I knew that there was one. I kept thinking the whole time. I'm like, there's got to be something. But like, you know, you look at movies like Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, pure amazing. Yeah. Leatherheads was the one like it's okay. Because you think it's like you're like, oh well, that's cool. You never see a movie about like old timey footballs and like or football playing and like that's awesome.
The old timey footballs.
And then you realize it's like, oh, it's just kind of about like that's just sort of like a backdrop. The rest of the movie's kind of about like this like relationship bull crap. And you're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
It had 20 minutes of cool scenes. That's about it. I don't know. But yeah, mine was. It was once it was good. It was definitely. I liked it just the change of pace for a war movie.
Yeah.
You know, you get something that's not. You know.
It's more than anything, just kind of like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, and it's not like they're trying to like at the very end of the movie trying to make you be like, remember these people, they died for you, and then they just start showing pictures of Jesus and stuff. It's just like him. It's just like okay, I get it. Yes. It's like I like it. It's just like
which one was that?
Well, that's just kind of like a lot of these war movies nowadays because they always show you like these montages kind of.
Oh
like,
right, well like at the end of like.
Well, they didn't load Survivor.
Yeah, or at the end it was just like they're playing the sad cover.
It's almost like those ones like it's like I get it, but it's just like that's really trying to like I feel like you're. I mean, it's good that you show it stuff, but when you make it just try to be as sad as possible and you're really trying to tug at the heartstrings, it's just kind of like, there's a point where it's like, okay, we get it from the movie,
Sometimes I understand. I think that if
I
every
think,
movie does it...
It worked in Lone Survivor, but, there's other times when it goes a little too far.
Tom Hanks leaning in, saying "earn it" and Saving Private Ryan. There are times it works. There are times I just think it doesn't work, and they're just kind of doing it just for the sake of doing it.
Like fucking Battlefield LA.
Fuck Battlefield.
It's not based on a real event, but it has that same they try to tug at your heartstrings, but even though it does it in a really bad way.
I didn't give a flying fuck for Battlefield Day, and I want to say this real quick. I think it's kind of a funny thing. I didn't even really want to see Battlefield LA. This is kind of like the way it kind of worked out with me seeing that movie. My nephew wanted to see it, so I was like, okay, well, I guess I got to take my nephew to go see this movie.
I thought you saw a movie with me.
No, I'm going to tell you the story, how it led to that.
Oh, okay.
And then you said, well, since you're going to go see it, I'll go see it too. I'm like, all right. And then my nephew got in trouble, right. So my brothers are like, well, I don't want him going to see the movie. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I don't go. But I'll go see it with you guys. So I was like, oh, I was going to go take my nephew to see the movie. Now I'm take my brother and my best friend to go see this movie. I'm taking my older brother to go see this movie now.
Well, I remember the thing about Battlefield LA, though. That was a perfect example of, I thought the trailer looked good, but it was that trailer led me to a dark, deep place.
I just kind of figured it would go right to that dark, deep... Just something about me, I don't trust it. So I was right.
I don't know. A lot of times I learned that, the worse sometimes a trailer, the better a movie can be. The better a trailer is, the worse a movie can be. It's weird how that works. That's not always true, though. I'm
curious about that Seth MacFarlane.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the cool thing about that movie, to me, is just, has he ever been in a live-action movie?
I don't think he's been in a live-action movie.
He's in it, not he's the voice.
He's been in, I think he's had, small parts, but I think this is, the first big movie he's been in. Well, first main character role he's been in.
Yeah. The weird thing about that movie is because it's the Western one. What is it called?
I think 1,000 Ways to Die in the West.
Yeah, something like that.
Something around those lines.
The only thing to me is, I know it's kind of his style of humor always is kind of the sort of the pop culture type humor and kind of the modern reference things. And I feel since it's a Western, it's you don't need to have those in that, I feel.
Well, it could be a good movie. The thing with
I'm not saying that that's bringing it down, but I do see that it's just kind of why don't you let a Western be a Western?
Every so often you have, cause it is definitely a comedy first and foremost, but the thing about this one
is... but a Western could still be a comedy.
I know it could still be a comedy, I'm just saying it's a comedy first
and foremost. In the West, there was no such thing as laughs. Did you ever see Clint Eastwood laugh? We kind of smirked. It doesn't count.
He smirked when he shot somebody. Or punched the woman.
Or punched a horse.
Yeah. Or spat on a dog. Whenever he caused misery to others, he smiled.
That was the only time people laughed in the Old West.
But there is if you ever look at the episodes of Family Guy where they suddenly go back in time, not we took a time machine, but more of kind of we're gonna go to an 1800s story with just Peter and Lois and versus the family.
Yeah.
Or we're gonna go retell the stories of the Bible with the entire cast of Quahog. It's always kind of they'll do things they'll talk it's regular day, but they'll just say weird things that apply to that time, over their shoulder, oh my, when they get together, oh my God, I love you so much, I can't wait to live the rest of my life with you, which probably be till I'm 22 or something, Yeah. And then, or they'll say something oh, I can't wait to spend my days with you and probably die of tuberculosis or something.
It's the tongue-in-cheek humor.
The tongue-in-cheek, that's what this looks like it's going to be. It looks like it's going to be kind of where they talk kind of modern day, but it's not real. I don't know if to be making pop culture references, but more to the line of just very kind of over the top kind of stuff. And I want to bet, I'm guessing the movie's probably going to be R. And they probably can't show.
I can't imagine him making something that wasn't R unless it was for TV.
And
Family Guy's pretty much R nowadays because they say fuck in it.
Mm-hmm, they bleep it out. Yeah.
You buy the DVD. It's the one thing about that though is it's a little weird because I'm just not used to watching Peter go fuck this.
Yeah.
It's just what the fuck? It's if Homer was started saying fuck all the time. It's just
it just felt weird in Simpsons movie when Marge said "God damn," so I was oh. I wasn't complaining.
In South Park, you hear fuck all the time. It's fuck, 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 fuck.
You don't think anything of it.
But you expect it because it was there day one.
But I think this movie. I'm hoping that it's kind of one of those things. 'Cause I want it to be good. I'm hoping it's probably gonna. They're probably just haven't shown the funniest parts in the trailer just because it's an R-rated movie. And I think they just showed more of the slapstickier things. Like there's the part that I even though it's slapstick, I thought it was funny. They showed the guy about to take a picture with one of the old timey cameras. He just engulfs in flames.
No, I had some pretty funny stuff in it, and I bet you it'll be pretty good. You know, but it does kind of. I mean, I know it's like he's a Family Guy guy. It definitely so looks he's like why leave that realm?
It definitely looks like a live action version of a Family Guy episode.
Yeah, that's kind of how Ted was too, sort of.
I thought Ted was still, even though there are some definitely like Family Guy lines in it, I still thought Ted for the most part felt like I mean, it still had kind of like a little bit of a Family Guy feel to it, but it felt like a live action movie to me. It didn't feel too much like a Seth MacFarlane.
Well, no, it didn't feel like it wasn't slapsticky or anything like that.
Where this really feels like dead on like a Family Guy episode, which that could be good because, I mean, Family Guy can still be funny. I just think the cutaway stuff's used a little too much. But I mean, I was sick in bed a little while ago and just was watching television, which is something I never do, and Family Guy was they'll play that for like 2 hours straight on Adult Swim sometimes.
Yeah.
And I watched some of the more recent episodes and it was funny. I mean, it's not like my favorite show, but I see why people like it and it's good, you know.
For me nowadays, when I watch Family Guy or American Dad,
that one too.
They're both the kind of shows where it's like I watch them and yes, there is funny, but it's totally mindless humor. I don't feel like I'm getting anything out of it. Where when I watch South Park, when I watch King of the Hill, if I watch something like even Archer, I feel like I'm getting something out of it too. I'm not just there to laugh and almost like turn my brain off, sort of. Where Family Guy and American Dad, the last handful of episodes I've watched them in last handful of years, every single time I turn it on, it always reminds me like there's funny stuff in it, but I just don't feel like I'm getting much out of it.
I see what you're saying. I mean, the ones I saw, I mean, there are those episodes, but there are episodes where I feel like I walk away like. That's actually pretty good, and that actually definitely took some wit to write, like, to be so back and forth. And
well, I'm not saying there's not one every once in a while. I'm just saying in a general poll.
Yeah.
There's just something missing there for me, and I like to get something. When I watch something, I want to get something out of it too, not just a laugh. I can go anywhere and get a laugh.
Yeah. So
fucking look at this faucet and get a laugh.
Look at that fucking faucet. I don't know why it has a southern accent when we look at the faucet.
But I guess speaking of a really funny movie, and a really amazing movie, which I kind of had, like, I don't know, it was going to be a toss-up. It was literally, I was thinking a 50-50. It's going to be really cool or really lame, maybe even in between. What was the Lego movie?
That movie is... I like that movie a lot. I was so blown away by that movie. And the thing about that is, it just, like, I was not really... I mean, I was expecting it to be good. I wasn't expecting it to be shitty. I was expecting it to be a good movie. But but it's a kid's movie, so I figured there are still some things about it that would be like, whatever. But it was actually the comedy in it for being a PG movie.
That movie was PG?
That was PG.
Oh, I thought it was G for some reason.
Maybe it was G. I
don't know.
Oh, it's PG. It says on the poster
okay.
right there.
Well, my fear was... I was like, please don't let this be another Wreck-It Ralph. Because Wreck-It Ralph was popular, so you could see people like trying to copy it. And I was like, well, Wreck-It Ralph was one of those things, too. It leads you in really well with the poster. The trailer leads you in, too. The first half an hour is great. And then it just, like, fucks you in the face. Over and over.
It wrecks
with an old hobo's penis where you don't know where it's been. And you're not too sure when the last time it was cleaned.
And it's going to wreck it.
Yeah. And then you realize it's Mickey. With a hobo's penis attached to him. And that's how bad. Now I'm very leery about children's movies anymore. It's like I'm not gonna say children, family movies, because Wreck-It Ralph I thought was supposed to be a family movie, and they gave me a fucking 5-year-old. Once again, I would have learned something more from like watching what the fuck's that? Like Nickelodeon, like the fucking Babies channel almost, where they just put up multiple colors.
Nick Jr.
Like, yeah. And it's just one of those ones like. So I have this fear going into Lego because it's like. Don't take stuff that I love from when I was a kid and from even nowadays and fuck with it. That's what I don't want you to do. The Lego movie didn't do that. They gave you everything you want and even more things than you even thought you wanted.
And the movie even had something to say throughout it.
That was the thing too. Is like once again going back to the Family Guy thing, where like TV shows that don't have things to say or movies like I don't care as much. The whole thing I love about the Lego movie, it starts off. It's like at the very beginning, it's kind of saying like. Don't be a dirty Republican. Don't be an evil Republican. that was like the first thing, because it's talking about like this world, and the guy's name was like fucking President Business. That is fucking Captain Republican. I mean, really, he turns into Captain Republican pretty much.
And then like it's also like don't conform because he's just a guy who's just like kind of like really happy, just kind of doesn't really question.
Well, the guy,
anything.
he doesn't question anything in life. He just does.
Not Captain Republican, Emmett, the main character.
Yeah, Emmett, the main character. He's pretty much he's that guy who's just kind of like he does everything people tell him to do. Like it's like not like all these things are bad, but it's just kind of like be nice, go to school, do your work, don't fucking question it though. Mm-hmm. Never question it, and he just follows that to a T. Mm-hmm. And then he learns through this thing that like. No, man, fucking break the rules, be yourself, try new things,
Well, what's cool about it is it kind of comes into
meet new people.
Well, what comes into around to it is ultimately at the end of the movie, it says like, well, hit a middle of that because you don't just want to go out without nothing because he's the one because he meets all the master builders who are all like it's Batman, Elizabeth Banks characters, these other ones, Charlie Day, astronaut.
Yeah,
which that was surprised
really cool
me. That was surprised me right there. Like that guy sounds familiar. Who is that?
Like, they were like, oh, there he is in the credits.
And it was one of those things because at first they're all like doing what they do and they're really good at it, but they're not really good at working together. And since he's like, well, I know how to. It's kind of like taking the best of both worlds.
Justice League. You know what I mean? They got to learn to work together.
Yeah, but it's kind of like it's this guy who everyone just kind of like after a while like this guy's not fucking good at anything. They just kind of roll their eyes at him and just don't
He's just a fuck up.
He's a fuck up, and the whole time they just like, why is this guy even here? Why did he even come along in the first place? How's this guy supposed to save us? And then it just comes into it in his own weird way. He kind of comes in. He's there is a way no one ever thought of. And
I guess like probably should explain the whole story. Sort of is it like. There's sort of like, in the very beginning of the movie, Captain Republican comes by and he takes this thing of crazy glue, which they call the cray...
Well, it's like part of the words are like smudged off.
Yeah, smudged out, so like...
the craggle or whatever.
The craggle or something, because those are the words that show up.
And you see every so often there's like real world things, like a golf ball or a Band-Aid or an eraser. You're like, what the fuck is that doing there? Just these weird random things he has like in this like...
He's collected.
Yeah.
But so the whole thing is he takes this and they're like, that thing, well, that's the most powerful thing we have here. It's the unstoppable force that should never be in the hands of evil or whatever. And then there's kind of the old man who's Morgan Freeman, who's like, oh, there's a prophecy out there that the man with the yellow face with no features or with little features will save the day, being this Emmett guy. Mm-hmm. And that leads us into our story where...
it's a lot of the kind of like, satirical humor in it, kind of like, and it's true because it rhymes, like things like that. Or it's...
Well, there's a part that just made me laugh so hard, and they did a couple times. They're like, well, there's old Bill over there, and he loves sausages. And he's fucking like, he takes like 2 sausages, like shaking them back and forth.
Well, it's like, it was funny because like, they're just going through like all the different people he works with. They're like, oh, hey Bill, how you doing? Eating sausage, just like some random. Like, I just love how they just straight up just had no problem just hiding a dick joke in the movie.
And they did a couple
very
times
obvious
too.
one. And then like there's a part like they're saying, well, what do you think of Emmett? Like, well, like
Emmett,
it's
almost like a dick and a gay joke all at the same time too.
Yeah, he saw like, you're like, well, with Emmett, he was all right, but he didn't really have any personality. Like for instance, look at Lisa over there. She's perky. Johnny, he's happy and helpful. Billy, he loves sausage. He just like slapping sausages against his face or whatever. So,
I love that one part where it just goes the one guy's like, Emmett? It just fucking pauses and cuts to the next guy.
I want to say, well, Emmett's totally, just pauses and just cuts to the next guy. It's like, that kind of weird, it has like a lot of the satirical stuff in it, because even the movie just says like, the song, like, everything is awesome. I want to, because they have that song playing throughout the movie in parts.
Yeah, it's part of like the whole like Captain Republican regime, like follow order. Well, they even have like the other thing that makes it really Captain Republican too is like, I think it's when the chick asked him like, well, what? Or somebody asked him like, well, Emmett, what's your favorite what's your favorite food? He's like, anything that's a chain restaurant. Yeah. So he's like programmed with all this like Republican propaganda.
Mm-hmm. It's all around a really good movie, and it kind of, it's about, breaking the mold, and, also says like, well, I can't do it without my instruction booklet. I don't know how to do anything without my instruction
booklet. Which always comes back to like that sort of like that old fashioned, like the school thing where like people kind of like, they're book smart, but they can't solve problems without like that, you know?
And the movie's just really funny all around, and just visually just amazing.
Oh, and then, visually it's just the coolest thing ever. Mm-hmm. And then the cool thing too is like, you get fucking Batman in it too. To top it all off, if you want to sell us a movie really well, put fucking Batman in it.
Well, it was funny because I was just, when I saw Batman the trailer, I'm like, well, I'm gonna go into this movie very honestly. Batman's probably gonna be in 2, maybe 3 scenes. There were gonna be funny scenes. That'll probably be it. He's in the like a
He's
good
one of the main
portion.
characters.
And he sticks in there, and it's actually they use him really good. And when Will, it's like one of the you and me were both laughing to the point of tears.
I was crying literally.
Like there's a part where like this is like also just an awesome cameo because it was. I'm not expecting this cameo to happen because it's just companies, you know.
Yeah, it's
but
Warner Brothers.
Star Wars, the Millennium Falcon comes in right as they're about to go on this big mission. And like Han Solo, Chewie,
C-3PO,
and Lando all lean out like, "Hey guys, what's going on?" And then it's like, "Oh, we're gonna go up to the space party and do all this cool space stuff." And like Batman's like, "I'm gonna go with them." Like what? But
well, first explain this first. Yeah. Batman is apparently like his girlfriend is like the main chick in the movie.
Wild Style.
Yeah, Wild Style or Lisa.
Her real name's Lucy.
Lucy. Yeah. And stuff, it's like, because she keeps explaining to Emmett in the beginning, she's like, well, I got this boyfriend, you know, or whatever. And then when they find out, it's like, oh, your boyfriend's fucking Batman? Well, I guess that's pretty cool. And then, like, later, yeah, this Lando's just up there, and all of a sudden, like, yeah, we're just gonna go space partying around, go trucking, kind of like some Dazed and Confused stuff. And then Batman, and I think Lucy's like, she's like, well, you can't go right now, we're about to go on this mission. And Batman just goes, whoa. If we're gonna be in this relationship, there's some things that we gotta lay down, some rules here. And if I want to go space partying with people I don't know, I can do that whenever I freely want. It's very.
We used to like say it thread. He says like very important, like this is very life changing stuff. I have to do this. Like you can't be serious. He just looks at her, not bringing it, pulls out his like harpoon, like she like links right into the spaceship and takes off with it. And then holds on him for a second. And then he comes right back, though. He says, yeah, I just went there to steal a hyperdrive. But just right there, though, because it holds on.
He had even a funny line, too. He gets back, he's like, whoa. Nobody explained. That furry thing wasn't a chick.
That line, I was like...
Well, it's funny because it's almost like he's like, well, it just doesn't sound like Batman. He's just going to go up on some, like, fuck brigade. Like, bunch of, like space alien chicks and whatnot. And then when he realizes, like, oh, what the fuck? There's a bunch of dudes. There's a fucking sausage fest up there. Fuck that.
And then he says, like, I took this hyperdrive thing from them. They won't need it back. And then it just shows the part from, like, Star Wars when the worm, like... Empire Strikes Back when they're flying out of the asteroid and the worm thing comes and, like, chomps down.
He's like, Chewie, hit the hyperdrive.
It's also just weird little humor things. Kind of like... Whenever they showed kind of like a distant shot of something, like, say, a building or an area or something, it would be weird, like, this almost kind of like this weird, like, 2D model of it. As if like it was not like it was actually 3D. It was like a weird 2D model, like just slapped against like kind of like a background. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't know.
It was like, well, for instance, it was like when they showed like the bad guys eat like his tower from a distance. It was just kind of like it was almost kind of like just like a very 2D like. It wasn't like here's the 3D model. It was like a 2D, just couple like just one
flat shot, yeah.
Flat shot. And whenever something would go away, though, whenever they show like a distant thing going away, you hear like whoever was running the thing going like making the noise.
Well, pretty much like if you were a kid and you were making a movie with your Lego kind of set, and you did all the sound effects, everything was in camera.
And a part where Will Ferrell's like part of his like building flies away, he has detaches and flies away. It's like you hear Will Ferrell going like away with it. And they have like that kind of humor with a few times. And the Charlie Day character, though, that was another kid, the space guy.
That was cool, because like when I saw that, it was like, I'm like, well, that's all the Legos I remember when I was a kid. It was like the older style, the race car ones, the spaceship ones. And these are even before they got to like the Adventure Zone and the Pirate Zone and the Camelot and whatever else. But what I love those. I love how like they reference all those ones, and you see in the movie like shit that you could have bought back in the day, and I guess nowadays too. And that was so awesome. It was just like one of those ones like, dude, I fucking had that set, or like I remember that fire and all that stuff.
Yeah, and it looked like they were primarily using older Legos, and they used to use like Batman and a Ninja Turtle here and there, just to sell like in the trailer.
Well, I feel like it's like they had a good range from like close to day one Legos to all the way to like nowadays Legos.
They didn't have like there's. Well, I mean, I'm thinking.
I was like, is there gonna be like a Master Chief one? Just because they have like those big Master Chief sets and whatnot.
I think that one's Mega-Bloks. Just wait for the Mega-Bloks.
Oh, is that Mega-Bloks?
Yeah.
Oh, never mind then.
But no, there was like the Charlie Day character. That was funny because he's always like, I want to build a spaceship. Like every time, like we're gonna build a spaceship. Like well, not that kind of spaceship.
He's like halfway into his project. He's like, oh, well. That's okay, whatever. And he like fucking breaks it, like fuck you guys.
Happens like several times when he finally makes it. He's just like
spaceship,
like flying
spaceship, just like yelling at it every single time.
Yeah, and then there's also like I thought the Brie Larson character, which seemed like it's gonna be set up for annoyance, but it actually ends up being kind of funny.
Which character was that?
Brie Larson's
I know
character.
who Brie Larson is.
She's the evil girlfriend from Scott Pilgrim. She was also the sister in Don John.
Okay.
She probably does a lot of indie stuff, but anyway, she was the cat with the unicorn cat thing.
Oh yeah,
And this is the kind of satire humor I like, because like usually in kids movies you don't see this, but it's like they go to like the magical rainbow land where this character's from, and she's all like everything's happy, and she's always happy, and she's super excited, and so she's like, and if you ever get something dark and sad and makes you cry, just bottle it up and don't ever think about it ever again. And then like near the end of the movie, like all this stuff's happening, and
it's like they destroy her whole planet or zone or whatever you want to call it.
And when she sees that, she's like, not crying, just bottling it up. You see like her eye twitching. Yeah, and then like when she actually finally freaks out at the end of the movie, she's just like taking out a bunch of the bad guys and just like losing her shit. But aside from that though, something else that kind of was really cool about the movie was it has this total like twist. You find out it's a kid playing with a set of Legos.
Yeah,
and his dad.
And there's like and it cuts the live action, which is kind of cool too. So because that's the thing about the Lego movie, it's like you don't know if it's just supposed to be like it's just a Lego fantasy world. We don't question why all this stuff happens like this. Mm-hmm. It's just it's a fantasy movie. And then as it goes later on to the live action scenes, you realize that oh no, it's this dad has built this humongous like set of Legos down below, all perfect, all the way he wants it to be. It's like his super hobby. And then you realize the dad's Will Ferrell.
Will Ferrell's doing the voice of the villain in the movie.
Yeah, and then it all comes together like that. It's like, oh, there we go.
And you find out that he is like he's taken crazy glue and gluing the characters together
so they don't fall apart.
And there's a part where they think Emmett's dead, but he just falls to this black hole thing, and they think he's dead, but he's seeing everything.
He fell off the table.
He fell off the table, yeah, and he's seeing everything through he still can see it, but he just can't move. He's saying like, oh my god, what am I? What's this guy picking me up? What's this kid doing to me? And then that's actually like whenever you see like these, I think they're called micromanagers. And what happened is like these evil Lego robots would come in and rip things apart.
It plays them exactly. They pretty much would be as Will Ferrell's posing all these things, how he wants them to be posed and how he wants these people to look.
Yeah, it would parallel that, and just like really cool things like that. And at the very end of the movie. And
well, the kid, Will Ferrell catches the kid downstairs, playing his Legos. Like, Will's like, what the fuck you doing down here, boy? Gets his fucking belt out and just bends him over. Just starts beating the fucking shit out of this, like, long scene. He's just off in the corner. No music.
That's the end of the movie.
And then it just says, like, kids, don't fuck with your dad's Legos. And then just has, like, a belt whip really quickly across the screen to, like, everybody's happy.
Everything is cool. Well, the movie, then what ends up happening is it has a scene where the kid's saying, the dad stops and looks around like, look, everything's all jumbled up. You got all this weird stuff. The city stuff, stay with the city stuff. Western stuff, stay with the Western stuff. Why is there a robot pirate? How is there robot pirates,
Yeah.
What's Batman doing here? And then, like, the dad stops and looks around. It's kind of a cool scene because what happens is the dad stops and realizes, looks at all the cool things the kids made and add to it, made it look so much more interesting. And then it cuts to Emmett, who's talking to Lord Businesspan, and it pretty much, they kind of have this conversation. It's put a lot more elegantly in this. It's more of that, the whole thing is, we're all special, we have our own unique things about us. Mm-hmm. But it's put way more eloquently than that, and actually it is kind of like a little bit of a heartwarming moment in the movie.
Well, because it's almost like the point where it's like the father has realized that his son's not a complete fuck up. Mm-hmm. Because that's almost like what it's saying is like, my son's an idiot, I don't want him down in my Lego room.
Yeah.
Honey, if you allow Billy down the Lego room, he gets the belt.
And then like it brought in other things like there's like for instance you kind of brought in like he's like Emmett says to like the business plan guy, he says like, well look, if you're like this you're like don't like hate everybody, you're just that talented, everybody just wants to be like you, use that for the right
you're really
things.
talented, but you're just using all your talents in the wrong way.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that's just like, it is a very kind of like let's all be friends kind of ending, but every once in a while that works fine. That worked great for the movie.
Well, yeah, I think that works more often than not.
I know, but every so often it's kind of hard, and especially in a kids movie, it's very easy to sound very cheesy and very Hallmarkish. But in this movie, really found a way to actually make it like feel really sincere. And when you first hear, I like this movie so much because it, for every reason, sounds like it should have been bad, because it's just like Lego movie. Like Lego Movie. Yep, Lego Movie. Just given other things have come out.
Yeah.
And we've seen kind of like, you know, I mean, I haven't really seen them I haven't seen them, but I know they have Lego cartoons and Lego straight to DVD stuff.
Which makes me kind of wonder now about some of that other stuff. I mean, I'm not expecting maybe to be as much the caliber as this. Mm-hmm. But what are, like, you know, because they like there's the DC Lego Movie, which I kind of always look at and go like, I feel like I should watch this.
Maybe that one, but I mean, I've seen.
I mean, I'm probably not gonna go watch the other things, but like, I will say from watching this one, I'm a little bit more interested in the other things.
I'll say this: I watched
at least the DC one more than.
I did watch like 1 or 2 episodes of like there's like the Lego Ninja thing. I watched 1 or 2 episodes with my nephew, and there's one where it's like animals that are like Lego animal. They look like Thundercats, but they're Legos. Like that stuff, I've seen like a few episodes of that, and that stuff blatantly is selling plastic to kids. That's all that's doing.
Yeah.
So seeing a movie that
I'm more thinking the movies though. That's what I'm talking about.
The stuff seeing something that could easily become that, but did everything you didn't expect and made a really great movie and was just visually beautiful.
Oh yeah, if anything more than the movie, there's no other movie like it. Yeah. There's nobody else who's done visuals like this. Mm-hmm. That's just how cool it is.
Mm-hmm. Plus the action scenes. It's not like it'd be hard to make a movie where cool action scenes with Legos, but
well, the coolest part about it is that
it moves so fast.
Everything moves like how a Lego will move. It's not like these Lego pieces are kind of like CG. They all move like the way the Lego can move. You can only do it the way that the thing would physically move. Mm-hmm. You know, they don't bend. They don't do any of this. They just work the way they work, and that's what I think is really cool about it. Mm-hmm. Plus, I think one of the other things that's so smart about this movie is it never stays in the same place.
It keeps going.
That's one that I think, because a lot of movies peter out because they stop at some place and hang out there. Mm-hmm. You know, I can think of so many good movies, like the first half an hour is just amazing, and then they stop for the next hour in the same place, and then it's kind of, well, I guess that's it.
Yeah.
Or this one just had, everything going for it, Mm-hmm. I don't know. I guess also what makes it just because when you don't expect something to be as amazing as it is, that almost like makes it extremely amazing by the time you finally get to it. It's like the most fantastic thing. Mm-hmm. But it was a pretty damn cool movie.
Yeah, I really liked it a lot. So
I don't know. It's the weirdest thing. Out of Justice League, War, The Monument Men, and Lego was definitely the prize movie of them all.
I'm kind of sad. I'm a little sad to admit it because I know I saw Monument Men. I know people died for that.
Don't tell a senior citizen that you thought that Lego was cooler than Monument Men. Now, don't get me wrong. Monument Men was really great its all way.
I really liked it.
Fantastic movie too. But just something about Lego. It's because I think it's so different.
Yeah.
It's when there's something you've never seen before in a sense. Mm-hmm. I think that always tops it off.
Yeah.
And I will say Monument Men's also. It's another one of those movies. I've never seen a World War II movie like that before either. Mm-hmm. Where they're hunting for paintings, but. Lego movie. Great movie.
Definitely.
But, probably a good place to leave off at. Make sure to go check out oldmanorange.com. And then you can follow me at Twitter at Spencer S. Holmes. Until then, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm Ryan Dunigan. I'll have a Twitter at some point, but yeah.
And we'll see you some other time.
Goodbye.